To the Daily Caller editorial director Vince Coglianese, Democratic strategist Antjuan Seawright on this growing field. It's way early in this process, Antjuan, but if you had to look at who had the stronger chances of the list already, who would it be?
I'm not sure there's one strong candidate that stands out. Obviously, near the big-name candidates who have a profile already, they automatically move their way to the top of the list as early favorites. But I always govern myself this way thanks to the 2007-2008 Democratic primary. At that point in time, no one thought, or not many people believed, Barack Obama would make his way to be our nominee. So I think it's still very early in this process. I'm very encouraged by the quality of candidates we have and the diversity. And so I think it's really going to be a fight for the heart and soul of our Democratic Party.
You know, looking at that crowd, Vince, I'm just wondering whether it helps or hurts the president. Eventually, the Democrats will have to settle on a nominee. And in crowded fields before, Republicans did, you know, a couple of years ago. We know that, you know, Democrats did when they were fielding what were called the so-called seven dwarfs to challenge the impenetrable George Bush Sr. And we know what happened. Bill Clinton emerged, and George Bush Sr., who once had a 90% approval rating, ends up losing. So we can't tell. But looking at the field right now and a crowded field, how does it work to the president's advantage or disadvantage?
I think every Democrat that jumps into this race is an advantage for the president, and here's why. These primary processes are bruising, and all of these opposition research teams, these political units that are working on behalf of each of these candidates is going to have to distinguish themselves not only by proving why they're better, but why their opponents are worse, and we've already seen some of that. Look at the attacks on Tulsi Gabbard out the gate immediately. She's too close to Trump. She doesn't like war enough. You have Kirsten Gillibrand, who's being attacked for her past positions on immigration. She was more pro-immigration restriction in the past. Kamala Harris, you've seen attacks on her based on trying to keep more people in prison when she was attorney general in California. Democrats are already savaging each other, and that will provide opportunities for the president to basically pick his favorite weaknesses and exploit them in the Democrats he's running against.
Antjuan, could I ask you, though, about, first off, on South Carolina, Antjuan, I know that's near and dear to you, and if you think about it already, we are seeing Cory Booker spend an inordinate amount of time and attention in South Carolina, and he hopes there, I guess the reporting is, to take out Bernie Sanders and emerge as sort of this new Southern face, even though he's not from the South, of course, but that stops momentum of party heavyweights and then emerges as the nominee himself. What do you think of that strategy?
Well, first of all, I think any candidate who wants to be our nominee has to find their Southern groove, and the place to find that is South Carolina. Neil, I govern myself by this when it comes to Democratic politics. Opportunity will meet you on the dance floor, and the dance floor in the Democratic primary is South Carolina. 60% of the people who will cast their vote will be African-American. That is the heart and soul of our Democratic Party.
Yeah,
and
but
the
if
key
you've
to
already
the
had
nomination.
California, New Hampshire, and Iowa, are you worried that South Carolina loses its appeal by that point?
Absolutely not, because many of the states that follow South Carolina in the primary will have very similar demographics. Okay. So just like in 2008 and just like in 2016, South Carolina can be the saving grace and the launch pad for any candidate who wins here or who is very successful here. And I think it will be the real test of what type of campaign infrastructure you have, because as someone who's been doing Democratic politics in South Carolina for a very long time, it's the first case of a high-tech and a high-touch campaign, meaning you're going to have to, yes, have money to go on the air and do TV, et cetera, but you're also going to have to put together a real ground game in order to penetrate the atmosphere here in South Carolina. And I'm very encouraged by what I've seen from some of the candidates who understand the importance of that.
Let me get your sense, Vince, of the priorities here, because there are some either dark horse figures or figures who don't figure into the normal figuring in, and that is a billionaire like a Michael Bloomberg, or for that matter, Starbucks former CEO Howard Schultz, reportedly looking at an independent bid. How much impact will they have?
I don't think much, actually. I think the thing in presidential politics to always watch is how much charisma do you have and how much do you connect with the base of the party. I don't think Michael Bloomberg or Howard Schultz, for that matter, connect with the average Democratic voter in a way that's going to help them get through a presidential primary, especially against President Trump. Howard Schultz, he's fine. I don't think he lights anybody up, really. And in Bloomberg's case, he's a billionaire. He's kind of back and forth between Republican and Democratic politics throughout his career. In that sense, he'll be too moderate, despite what some Republicans might think. And the issue of winning a presidential primary, it's going to take somebody who has charisma and somebody who kind of hews to the identity politics standards of the Democratic Party. The average white male candidate is probably not going to play really well in a 2020 primary.
All right, we'll watch it closely. Gentlemen, I want to thank you both.